So now that we have the index, we can now go to our tweets array, and imagine tweets had a bunch of different objects that represented different tweets. Now we can use that index to focus on the particular tweet that we want to change. And now that we're dealing with that particular tweet or that object, we're going to access its poll results property. Remember, poll results was empty object before. Now we're going to fill it up with all the values from what we fetched from our API. So, maybe A has 10 votes, B has 20 votes, kind of thing. As well as we're going to stick in a new, you chose, A, B, C, or D kind of thing. And then we also changed the isPoll_done is equal to true, but initially it was back to false. And then we render it out. So let's see that in action. I'm going to click on this one. And there we have the different things. So now notice there's two different things happening. We have the votes in percentages, and we have the chart in CSS showing the different things. So we're basically going to look at the render function next, because that's where all that happens. So let's look at the render. So, and we saw this before. This function here created the buttons for us. But now it's creating the chart. So let's see how that's working. So let's now look at the display function. So this is what we saw before, right? The buttons that you saw before. And the only reason why it did this and not whatever was here was because isPoll was false, or isPoll_done was false. But now that it's true, right, because we changed it to true, now it's going to ignore this, and now it's going to do all of this, which is the chart. Okay, I just basically used CSS and Flexbox to draw the chart. And now, first thing is, how do I change all my votes, which are basically, maybe I have A of 10 votes, B of 12 votes. How do I change that into percentages? Because it's the percentages that I want in order to make this flex box work with percentages, right? Otherwise, if I just do a chart with the exact number of votes, it's going to look off. So I created a function called votes to percentages, which basically looks like this, which does some basic math, and at the end of the day, it returns an object where A is no longer one vote. A is now 10% kind of thing, right? So then we have that stored in percents, which is why we can say %.a, right? Next, we have get index of chosen, which gets the property you chose. So you either chose A, B, C, or D, and I want to know the index of that. So then I wrote this function, and this is where you get to write the one line of code. So use the array method called .findIndex to return the index value of the parameter. So for example, if in here letter it was passed A, then I anticipate that you would return 0 at the end of the day. So how would you use .findIndex on this array in order to return either 0, 1, 2, or 3, depending on what was passed here?